Another thing I'm wondering is like, since this transition is quite big, like, and I'm sure like everything's full of like ups and downs. Like, did you experience any rejections along the way? And if so, like, what were a few things that you kind of took away from those experiences that you had?
I think I have had so many rejections. In fact, I very shamelessly tell people when I interact with them, and very often get asked this question that how I deal with rejections. And I always tell that if I have tried for something 10 times, probably 3 times I have succeeded and got what I wanted, and 7 times I have had to face disappointments or rejection. But the only reason you see what you see is because at the end of it, I have vehemently refused to give up. I'm like, even if it's a rejection, probably just tell yourself that this is not the right time for it to work out, or there is something better in store for you, something better that's coming up, or this was just not meant to be at this point of time, and patiently circle back and try again. So I think rejections are inevitable, especially if you're talking in the context of a job market with the competition being so fierce.
Yeah.
uh, there are going to be several times where you'll get rejected. In fact, very ironically, just before the week that I got my offer, I was interviewing at this other place that rejected me and never got back to me, and it really made me feel bad because I was like down 3 rounds of interviews, and those people didn't even bother to get back to me. So all these kind of instances can be very demotivating, they can be very demoralizing, but you just need to learn to let it go.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I know these days a lot of students, like I feel like I like how you mentioned, like, three acceptances and seven rejections. Because I see many a times, especially with me also, I have the tendency to focus more on the rejections and kind of forget the acceptances. So that kind of leads you to question yourself. But if you kind of remember that, okay, you have had your fair share of acceptances as well, then it kind of leads to that satisfaction, or you knowing that, maybe it was not the right time, or maybe not the right company, for you. So yeah, I definitely relate to that. Additionally, like, then according to you, like, because a lot of students are experiencing these rejections, and you have coped with them, like, what would be a few things you would like to tell students on how they could kind of, like, I don't know, cope with these rejections, or prepare themselves in a way that they kind of start focusing more on those acceptances rather than the rejections?
So I think if I could go back in time and really tell the 15 or 16-year-old self when I was right in the middle of my the prime of my student life, I think one thing I would tell is peer pressure is real, and come what may, don't get bogged down by it, because as a student we are so susceptible to constantly compare ourselves with the career trajectory of our peers or the other people in our class, or just our friends who we grew up with, or at immediate cousins or things like that. So it's very real, and at every stage of your life, you might just feel you're not doing enough. Like, for example, when I was in college, I started with my chartered accountancy course out after graduation. I did not take the usual route that most students take, where they started a year after high school. So I always felt that I am probably behind in the race, and I'm going to finish 2 years after everyone, and things like that. But it's not true. For like most of my peers who I knew had immense clarity then pursued their chartered accountancy course, became qualified CAs by the age of 21. Actually, at the age of 23 or 24, realized that probably CA is not their true calling. This is not what they want to do for the rest of their lives, and actually had significant career switches or transitions and went on into cool things like marketing, product management. Someone became a chef, someone took on to trekking and traveling.
Yeah.
So it at the end of it, when you really look at things 10 years down the line, all these irrelevant thoughts that you have, times where you feel that you are behind in the race or you don't have clarity, they all just don't make sense, and it puts a smile on your face that why would I worry at that point of time so much. So even for any student right now who is in their university, like, don't get bogged down by peer pressure. In fact, enjoy this time in your life, because it's not coming back. It's okay if you don't have the clarity. Put yourself out there, explore as much as you can. There are so many opportunities. Do different internships, pursue different courses. Just see where you think you find yourself, and use these 3 or 4 years to explore as much as you can. And don't hesitate or don't discount yourself from doing so because of the fear of rejections. Rejections are inevitable. Even some of the best personalities in the world who I idolize have very openly shared their stories of rejections, of getting rejected by top companies, top funders, top business schools. So everybody faces rejection in some form or the other, and you shouldn't feel or you shouldn't underestimate yourself because you have got any.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think I completely relate to the idea of not feeling like you're doing enough. Because I feel like, especially being on LinkedIn, let's say, like, seeing so many people getting jobs like every day, and so many people doing so many things that many a times it makes you question that, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just like a student, just doing my education. So, yeah, no, definitely. I'll keep that in mind.